Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Higurashi One Day Cry Chapter 2 Watanagashi. So last time Keiichi and Rena went to Mion's house, right? They confronted her. She pretty much told everything, right? That she did it. And then she also gave us some history of the Sonozaki family, the village, all of it. And it was very, very calm last time, right? They were just talking there. So in today's episode, I think it's gonna be much, much crazier, right? Because she invited Keiichi to be alone with her for 30 minutes, right? And Keiichi said yes. And let's see what happens. But yeah, I think Keiichi is gonna die. Or not die, but maybe something's gonna happen to him. For sure, man. I put on my shoes, tapped my toes against the floor for a few times, then left and Mion timidly came over. Why is she turning all red at a time like this?
腕組んでもいいかな。
It was such a modest request.
別に構わないぞ。
With my permission, her face lit up with glee, like a child being given a toy, and took my arm.
私に腕を組まれたらなんだか緊張しちゃわない？例えば急に関節技を決められちゃうんじゃないかななんて思ったりとか。
姉妹揃って同じことを言うんだな。思わないよ。全然。
Back when nothing had gone wrong yet, during those nostalgic days of bustling commotion and angel mort, I counted back and was amazed. It had only been 1 week ago. I had been arm in arm with Shion then too. Linking arms with Mion like this really reminded me that they were twins. How much strength they put into it, the sensation of their arms, their warmth and blood flowing. I could feel that their living sensations were all exactly the same.
シオンもケイちゃんのことが好きだったみたい。
そうなんだ。
I see. What if you are Shion, right? What if you are Shion? If this were a regular conversation, I might have just jumped back red in the face. Right now, though, no matter what I heard, my mind remained at peace.
ミオンとシオンは仲は良かったんだろ？
さあどうかな。ケイちゃんは自分の右手と左手は仲がいいと思う？
え？右手と左手？それは仲がいいとか悪いとか、そういう言い方で例えるものじゃないな。
そういう関係だから。仲がいいとか悪いとか、そういう尺度では測れない関係。
That didn't sound like it meant they got along very well, or really well.
例えば利き腕というものがあるように、右手と左手には間違いなく優劣の違いがある。もしも鍋つかみが片方しかなかったら、迷うことなく利き腕にするでしょ？
I mean, yes.
そういう差はあったんじゃないかと思う。だからといって左手がなくなったっていいなんて思う人は誰もいないはず。そんなよくわからない関係だね。
多分、それは近くにいすぎるから見えなくなっているだけで、きっととても仲のいいことなんだと思う。俺は一人っ子だから、祭りの前日、ミオンとシオンが二人してじゃれ合っているのをすごく羨ましいと思った。
ないものねだりじゃないの？
Okay, I'm really analyzing what Mion says here. All of it.
双子なんて昔は人をからかったりしてそこそこに面白かったけど、こうして互いがはっきりと異なる個性を持った今ではかえって邪魔なだけ。
Were they cursed or were they self-conscious? Their relationship was hard to understand for an outsider. Maybe that wasn't an issue someone like me should intrude on. Just staying silent and nodding gently was the best way to advance a conversation. Mion passed through the wide yard and invited me into the big, desolate forest we'd seen on the way in. Such a big forest was part of their property, so I couldn't help but feel small.
でかい森だな。子供の頃はいい遊び場だったんじゃないのか？
Mion seemed to be silently reminiscing. I couldn't look into her mind, but she was probably thinking back to those fun days when they played as sisters without any antagonism. Every time the wind blew, it caressed the treetops and leaves, making a swishing, murmuring sound. Mion remained silent for a long time, thinking back on her younger sister whom she had gotten rid of with her own hands. There was no need for me to get a word in. Just walking like this, arm in arm, was enough. Mion suddenly stopped and turned.
シオンはまだ生きてる。
Am I looking at her right now?
本当か？
Mion took a hard look into my eyes, then nodded quietly.
誰よりもむごたらしい死に方をさせてやろうとずっと考えて閉じ込めておいたけど。
What? I'd been thinking to give her the most horrible death of all. What the hell?
今日までその方法はとうとう思いつかなかった。
Mion sounded as though she hated Shion, but also deep down she didn't completely detest her. So I took my other hand and rustled Mion's hair with it. Mion didn't only save me, she saved Shion too. Mion may have become a demon and led many people to their deaths, but she fought against it and was able to save 2 people. She killed a lot of people. As I petted Mion, she narrowed her eyes in an entrance smile and untangled her arm from mine. Then Mion quietly said,
来て。私の罪のすべてを見てほしいから。
Oh no, Keiichi.
でもそれはケイちゃんにとってこの上なく辛い光景かもしれない。
I could sense it. Their eye would probably find all the sacrifices up until now. Looking at them would mean accepting Rika-chan and Satoko's death, as well as accepting that my best friend had done it.
すでに起こり終わってしまった事実だけれども、ケイちゃんは見ないことを選んでもいい。そうならばここで待っていて。
Okay, I'll stay here.
私の手で全て終わらせるから。
I was taken aback by how ominous it sounded. I remembered when Rena told me, Mion might not surrender herself to justice but choose to put an end to things herself. I couldn't leave her on her own. Besides, I agreed to her last request, didn't I? Even if it was hard for me to accept, I'll still do it. Even if I avoided looking, it was something that had already happened.
何を見たって？俺にとっての園崎美音は最高の親友だ。それは変わらない。一生。
The treetops softly swayed in the wind.
あんたもレナもどうしてこんな時ばかりかっこよくなるんだろうね。
Normally, I'd say something rude right back at her, evading the question, but today I didn't. I just answered with a smile. At last, Mion started walking. Into the thick forest, into the deepest part. After following a thin path that looked like an animal trail for a while, we finally came across a steep incline with a tunnel that reminded me of a coal mine or bomb shelter. We were surrounded by shallow hills. It had been created in a spot not visible from the outside. There were many silhouettes of crows in the trees here and there. The abnormal odor I'd been smelling for a while was doubtlessly escaping from the inside this place.
引き返すなら今だよ。ケイちゃんの中の園崎美音がどんな人かは知らないけれど、中に入ればその美音はきっと
変わらない。
Okay, she is doing this third person Mion Sonozaki.
何度だって言う。園崎美音は俺の最高の親友だ。
I clenched my fist. Inside there was probably a sight beyond anything I could imagine. If I let my guard down, I might end up vomiting. Even so, I'll endure it. I'll overcome this pain and this suffering. I will never change that Mion is my greatest friend.
私はただの鬼だから もう人間の気持ちはわからないけれど、ミオンがあんたを好きになったの、よくわかる気がする。
Okay, I'm nothing more than a demon. Why Mion fell in love with you? Oh my god. This is confusing me, man.
他人事のように言うな。お前はミオンだ。
I'm thinking this is Shion, but she keeps saying she's the demon, right?
鬼じゃない。血の通った人間で、俺の仲間なんだ。
Mion made a gesture like she was wiping tears from her eyes, and then placed a hand on the big door of the tunnel entrance. The lock on it was dauntingly strong looking. It seemed to demand the appropriate resolution from whoever would enter, just like the ritual storehouse. When the double doors opened, a stifling, rotten air and a bunch of winged insects came rushing out. I remembered accidentally killing a hermit crab a long time ago by leaving its tank out on the porch, and how intense the odor it left was. If that was the smell of a corpse, then that's certainly what this smelled like. Inside, it was pitch black, but Mion flicked a switch that turned on a light bulb, illuminating the interior. The bath turned into a series of intricate wooden tunnels. We passed spaces that looked like they were for storage. We passed places that looked like someone had lived there. All this indicated that it had been used as a bomb shelter and stockpiled during the war. It didn't give an impression of a dugout bomb shelter that had just been left there, though. There was a sense of dignity, as though this were a second Sonozaki house constructed underground. Despite being in pitch darkness below the ground, the voices of the cicadas were entering through an air hole somewhere, giving it a very mysterious feel.
西宮殿の中、見たよね。あの拷問道具の山を。あれはすべて鬼ヶ淵村の厳しい戒律を守るために作られたものだった。戒律を破った者を見せしめにむごたらしく殺してみせる。
大昔の話だろ。
本来は見せしめの儀式。渡流しは御三家が取り仕切る儀式だったんだけど、君吉家と古出家の衰退、そして時代の変化によって行うことはとても難しくなった。
そりゃそうだな。この現代日本で犠牲者をのんびりと沢でばらして殺せるなんて思えない。
だから現代でも綿流しの儀が行えるように秘密の場所を。
Okay, I'm sorry, I accidentally clicked it. Mion opened a large, strikingly different door. What did you say again? Okay. And inside was none other than a modern storehouse for ritual implements.
いろいろあるでしょ。
But basically, this is the same. Yeah, look, it's the same thing. Same picture, even.
一部のものは実際に西宮殿から運び込まれたものなんだよ。
All things there had been rusty and covered in dust, so they didn't seem that real. But the things in here were different. Every one of them had been well maintained and kept in a state that they could be used right away. Blades gleamed and spikes were sharpened. Also, perhaps as a precaution for the splatter of blood, the walls and ceilings were covered in the kind of tiling you would see in bathrooms, and there was even a drain set amidst a slight slope in the floor. There was also a coiled rubber hose along the wall attached to a faucet, perhaps for cleaning up the splattered blood. Jesus.
大昔の当主の書き物によるとね、血のしぶきってのは犠牲者に負担をかけない割にはインパクトがあるんだってさ。綿流しは見せしめの章だったから、私のご先祖様たちは様々な章を考案してたんだよ。
As she said that, Mion pointed deeper into the torture room to a spot veiled in darkness. There was a room floored with tatami mats, and in the corner was a pile of cushions.
鑑賞席なんだよ。
What? There are cushions for audiences and people watch this.
綿流しは見せしめの章だから、客がいなきゃ意味がない。
How sick can you be, man, watching people die like this? I couldn't speak and I couldn't think of anything to say anyway. Except that if Mion revealing all of this to me made her heart feel any lighter, then I was prepared to listen for as long as I needed to.
みんなここで私が殺した。
Jesus.
見てくれている観客はいなかったけど、私は綿流しを上手にやってみせた。いや、観客は一人だけいたかな。
え、観客？
私という鬼がミオンの執り行う綿流しをずっと見てたから。
Okay. Mion cackled in self-depreciation. So, yeah, this chapter, they're introducing demons now. Honestly, to me, after chapter 1, I feel it's just like, yeah, she's just going mad and she's just mentioning all of this. I think this is Shion still, and she's just saying that, oh, she's the demon, right? And then she keeps also mentioning Mion, that she was watching her do it. Okay, let's just continue. Let's see what she says. It wasn't a nice sounding laugh.
向こうが牢屋。
シオンはそこにいるのか？
She nodded slightly. Show me Shion then. Show me that Shion. Mion's Watanagashi had ended today. I needed to tell Shion that I was safe without a moment's delay. After all, she was probably trembling in fear at this moment, worrying about when she would be killed. The ostentatious door on the other side opened, revealing what must have been an incredibly expansive space based on the echo it made. Mion groped around in the darkness, and a handful of naked light bulbs came on here and there. As my eyes adjusted, more and more of the great cave showed itself in the faint light. The walls were a bare rock surface, and it felt savage that bomb shelter was the most apt term for it. There were small, barred rooms built here and there, like holes made by insects biting their way through a giant piece of fruit. It was immediately clear that each one of them was a prison.
みんなはどこにいるんだ？リカちゃんやサトコは。
死体？
I grimaced at her having said it so outright.
ああ、そうだ。いつまでも暗い中じゃかわいそうだろ。
虫が湧くと嫌だったから井戸に捨てちゃったよ。ごめん。
Wait. So I can't even see their faces in death. Once again, my feelings of regret and having confessed everything at Rika-chan came surging forth. If Mion hadn't attached the word sorry to the end of what she said, I might have punched her. Calm down, Keiichi. You said it yourself, no matter what Mion Sonozaki is, your greatest friend.
ああ、言ったさ。
I needed to hear myself say it aloud. Then came the clattering of bars in one of the cells deeper in. When I noticed it, I looked up as well.
シオン！シオンか！
ケイちゃんなの。
I ran over to the cell. White hands were peeking out through the gaps in the bar. It really was her.
大丈夫か？シオン！怪我はしていないのか？
Shion's face twisted out of shape as she screamed. It was because Mion had appeared right behind me. Of course, Shion didn't know that everything was over yet.
落ち着け、シオン。もう全部終わったんだ。全部。
I spoke in a calm voice, calm voice as I could manage to try and soothe the agitated Shion. However, it didn't seem like it was getting through her screams.
シオン、ご機嫌はいかがだった？
Ugh. This is what I like the doubt I'm having, because when they're talking, right, Shion, she kind of has a little different voice, right, with Mion. But still, they could pretend though, yeah. If this is if the one talking, I mean in the cell, is Mion, she could have broke already, right? And she's saying all of this because yeah, she's very scared. And yeah, her mind broke already, that's why.
落ち着けってシオン。もう終わったんだよ。大丈夫なんだ。だから落ち着け。
Shion, who was screaming and rattling the iron bars back and forth, was truly in a frantic state. I gave a slight shrug of resignation, giving way to Mion. I had realized that if Mion was the one who locked her in here, and if Mion was the one who had scared Shion this much, then Mion was the only one who could put an end to this. Mion spoke from over my shoulder, quietly.
安心しなよ。あんたは殺さない。まだまだ殺さないんだから。
She burst out into a bizarre laugh as trying to make Shion's madness even worse. Shion broke out into a fierce shiver brought on by the laugh and rattled the iron bars as she wailed. Damn. Yo, Keiichi, you gotta smack her in the face right now.
古式にのっとり、獅子の先端から少しずつガリゴリと削ってミンチにしてやる。あの肉引き器はあんたのために取っておいてあるんだからね。それともそれでケイちゃんをミンチにしてみせた方があんたには面白いかな。
おい、いい加減にしろ。今さら怖がらせてどうするんだよ。
Honestly, Keiichi's stupid as hell as well, right? Like, what the hell are you doing? Stop this. Stop this person in front of you now. I tried to rebuke Mion for flinging terrible words at her this late in the game, but when I turned around... Oh my god, what the hell? It's the same face, right? In the telephone. Jesus Christ! Mion's mouth so much that it was so hard to believe had twisted into a shape even thinner than a crescent moon. It was a smile. I could sense it like a jolt of electricity. The person here wasn't my best friend Mion. It wasn't the Mion who's Sonozaki, who had been tossed about by her heavy duty of succeeding the Sonozaki family either. Then, who was she? Bam! I saw sparks flying before my eyes, like what happens when you get hit in the back of the head. The strength in my body drained instantly and my head suddenly became heavy. My knees buckled under temptation and hit the floor. Then my whole body abruptly collapsed. My face should have hit the floor, but it was comfortable as if I had fallen onto a downfield futon. My consciousness reeled and then receded. It was the kind of sensation like if you took a nap in the car, but you were still half awake and could listen to your parents talking as if they were far away. No, you wouldn't be listening, you would be only hearing it. It was happening so far away, and the conversation was completely unrelated to you, so you would have no interest in it. So whether Shion was yelling into my ears or Mion was in vulgar hysterics, I didn't think it annoying nor did it interest me.
さーて どんな方法で料理してやろうかね。そうだ、釘台なんかどうかな。あのちびがき二人組に試したかったんだけど、手が小さくて高速台にサイズが合わなかったからね。あれにしよう、あれにしよう。
Mion held me up from behind and dragged me across the floor. The soles of my feet scraped on it and one of my shoes fell off.
もうやめてよね。やめて。
Shion's emotions exploded outward and she burst into bitter weeping. As if her crying had whetted Mion's interest, she flung me down and returned to the prison cell again.
あんたも可愛い声で泣けるじゃない。あんたのわざとらしい辛い針には虫唾が走ってたんだけど、やっぱりそういうあんたが一番似合ってるよ。ミオン姉さん、お願いです。私をどういう風に殺しても構いませんから。どうか、ケイちゃんだけは見逃してあげてください。お願いです。
Shion had always acted as though she were cut above her older sister. That Shion in such a miserable voice that I couldn't have imagined it during those peaceful times. Prostrate herself before the older sister she used to scoff at and pleaded forgiveness. Mion looked down with an expression of cold indifference, one that was plainly smiling with joy.
あんたの希望なんか聞くつもりは全然なかったんだけど、あんたがあまりにも面白い声で泣くものだから、なんだか聞いててやってもいいような気がしてきたかな。思えばあんたには姉らしいこと何にもしてやれなかったからね。はい、はい、ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。じゃあさ、これまでのことを謝ってみせてよ。そうしたら私もこれまでのことをすっかり水に流してあげてもいいかな。そうしたらケイちゃんだけは見逃してあげなくもないよ。
Mion said she might let me go, but she never said anything about letting Shion go. Before long, Shion got on her hands and knees behind the bars and began to speak weak words of apology. They were too faint for me to hear, but their intention got across. Despite having watched her with a magnificently jubilant expression, Mion kicked the bars and declared she was unsatisfied.
そんなので私の積年の恨みつらみが償えると思ってるわけ？こんなんじゃダメだね。やっぱりケイちゃんからひき肉だ。いやー！待って姉様！もう一度だけ。
Damn, the emotion though. Jesus Christ. Mion stopped and waved her hand again in resignation. I mean, the voice actor, right? Pretty good, yeah. Not because she had grown impatient, but only because she was taking delight in abusing Shion.
ろくろく満足に謝れないあんただからね。特別にお姉が心に届く謝罪の仕方ってのを教えてあげるよ。一度しか教えないし、一言一句でも間違えたらアウト。いいね。はい。ありがとうございます。お姉さん。
Shion's miserable voice cried out, having become utterly hoarse. The sensation tearing through my chest returned a little at a time. I realized it was a feeling of anger bubbling up. I was slowly regaining control of my body. However, I was only able to feel my skin and my blood flowing at the moment. I still couldn't voluntarily move my fingers.
ちゃんと覚えられたかな？ではやってごらん。誠心誠意、鉄頭鉄尾、心を込めてね。ちゃんとできたなら、あんただけを殺してあげるから。はい。 ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。
Something was strange. Something had become strange at some point. Until just a few moments ago, I was sure this had been Mion, but at some point, she had become someone else. The Mion I knew well would never do something so nasty like enjoy trampling all over someone's dignity like this.
さあ、やってごらん。お姉ちゃんはちゃんと聞いててあげるから。園崎しおんは。
When I ran over to Shion's cell earlier, had the real thing been swapped out with a fake right behind me? Anyway, this couldn't possibly be Mion.
園崎しおんはミオン姉様の足元にも及ばない身の程をわきまえず姉様に働いた数々のプレーを思います。ほらほら、その調子。少しは許してあげようかなって気になってきたよ。
Blood circulated through my whole body. My numb senses were returning. Just a little more. While Shion is still holding Mion's, no, that thing pretending to be Mion's attention. Hurry up!
生意気だったこれまでを反省し、一緒ミオン姉様に忠誠を誓います。ですから
Mion's burst of laughter echoed throughout the big cave, growing to a terrifying level. That was not the laugh of someone who was alive in this world. It was none other than a laugh of a demon from the bowels of the earth. She laughed from her stomach until she grew tired of it and stopped smiling suddenly as if snipping a wire.
いいよ、もう十分面白かったわ。あんたがそこまでプライドを捨てられるとは思わなかったから。十分に愉快。
Mion began to drag me again after I finally got the feeling in my body back and pulled me towards a torture chamber.
姉様、殺すのは私だけ。その人許して安心しなって。ちゃんとあんたは殺してあげるよ。ケイちゃんの悲鳴をたっぷりと聞かせた後にね。
Oh my god. After dragging me to the torture chamber, she skillfully strapped me into the restraining table. Before I knew it, I was sprawled out and bound. She forced open my hands, with which I couldn't even make a satisfying fist, and tightly restrained each one of my fingers. She fastened only my hands and my fingers at that, tightly with the hinges, and locked them in place. The door to the big cave with the jails had been left open, so I could hear Shion's cries of mortification the entire time. The feeling in my body returned, and the first action I took was to tell off that thing that looked like Mion.
ようやくお目覚め。
That smirk, man.
私、さっき嘘をついたね。シオンを一番むごたらしく殺してやろうと思って閉じ込めておいたけど、まだ思いつかないって言ったやつ。あれが嘘。
Mion brought over something like a toolbox. From inside, she removed a large metal hammer, and next to that she began to line up what looked like as long, strangely shaped nails whose ends has been turned into hooks, like the kind you see in the harpoon.
あの子に自分のせいで死ぬ大勢の人の悲鳴をたっぷりと聞かせて体の芯まで染み通らせてから殺すの。なかなかセンスいいでしょ。
お前は誰だ？
は？ミオンでしょ？園崎ミオン。恐怖で頭が変になっちゃった？
違うな。お前が園崎ミオンであるはずがない。
Mion snorted and continued her preparations for the horrifying torture.
へえ。じゃあ私がミオンじゃなかったら私は誰なわけ？
鬼だ。
え？
お前はミオンじゃない。さっきまで一緒だったミオンを返せ。
ケイちゃん、本当に頭は大丈夫？恐怖で頭がどうかなっちゃった？
触るな！
The thing is, she's asking Keiichi this. What do you call this? You're not crazy. Going crazy with fear. I mean, she's going crazy and she's acting like this. She's the one who's going crazy.
この鬼め！返せ！ミオンを返せよ！俺の最高の友人だったミオンを返せ！
Mion stood there for a few moments with her jaw hanging open, not having expected me to say that. I myself knew that I was about to go insane. I knew it was nonsense to demand Mion's return when she was right in front of me. But this person in front of me couldn't possibly have been Mion. There was no way I could accept all of that. So this is what I thought. Mion really had been possessed by a demon and was controlling Mion as if it were a separate personality. Mion was just a victim being manipulated by it. The evil one was really this thing. It all had to be the doing of this demon possessing her. When Mion heard that, she started to guffaw? Was it guffaw? Laughing so hysterically that she started to cough and almost choked.
あんたって本当におめでたい人だね。園崎ミオンに殺されようとしているこの瞬間に目の前の私を否定するわけ？こんな面白い人が世の中にいるなんて初めて知ったわ。
I mean, if you're in Keiichi's perspective, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, Mion is his best friend, right? So that's why he's kind of acting like this.
笑いたければ好きなだけ笑え。
Like even in the beginning, I mean, him going with Mion alone, right? That I would have never gone with Mion alone. Seriously though.
だがお前が何を言おうと俺はお前がミオンだなんて認めない。ミオンを返せ。退け鬼め！
ケイちゃん、私を笑い涙で溺れ殺すつもり
No matter what, I wouldn't lose to the laughter of hers. I shouted loudly. I shouted from the bottom of my heart so that the real Mion trapped inside the Mion I saw in front of me would be able to hear me. Okay, what is happening now?
頑張れミオン！こんな鬼畜生に負けるな！本当に強いお前の力を見せてくれ！
The tears welled up and flooded down her face. Her hands were busy with the restraint, so she couldn't even wipe them. She just let them flow.
頼むよミオンミオンどこでお前はこんな鬼に負けちまったんだお前はこんな弱いやつじゃないだろ負けるな戦え戦え
Mion, desperately enduring her laughter, pressed one of the long nails to the tip of my left pinky. Ugh. In her left hand was a hammer. At her side were a dozen more nails. I could tell that she was about to do, or what was she about to do, though I wish I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't afford to be scared. That was why I shouted.
お腹の筋肉がよじれて痛いよ。もういい？そろそろ始めるよ。
Okay, here we go.
いい声を出してね。これはケイちゃんへの拷問である以上にシオンへの拷問なんだからさ。
どうしてこんなことにミオン
Then I wept. Only sobs came out. They weren't in acceptance of the torture about to be performed, however. They were tears of regret that Mion had lost to the demon. Yet a small change did occur in the Mion in front of me. Her heightened excitement was draining little by little. By the time I realized it, the one in front of me had returned to being Mion.
ケイちゃん、メイドの土産なんて気の利いたものじゃないけれど、どうしても知りたがっているようだから、一つだけ教えてあげるよ。
I didn't know if this was Mion or just display of momentary humanity the demon had recovered.
私の中に鬼が宿ったのはずいぶん前。その鬼は私を蝕み、強行に駆り立てようとした。だけれど私はそれを理性で押さえつけた。鬼はそれで収まり、私はその鬼はどこかへ行ってしまったんだと思い込んでいた。でも本当は違った。私の中から出て行ったんじゃなく、私の中で眠っていただけだったの。
I noticed that there were tears forming in her eyes.
その鬼はある小さなことをきっかけにまた目覚めてしまった。それは何に原因があったと思う？
There was a sad and yet reproachful light in Mion's eyes.
わかる？
I don't know what gave the demon the chance to beat Mion.
鬼の私が教えるのも変だけれど、あんたが全てを狂わせてしまった元凶。
The tears welling up in her eyes spilled downward all of a sudden.
あの時、あんたがもらった人形を躊躇なく私に渡していたなら、全ては狂い出さなかったかもしれない。
So it was that doll? What the hell? When? So Keiichi didn't give you the doll and then something happened. The doll I got when we had our club meeting at the toy store that Sunday.
ケイちゃんには理解できないだろうね。理解できなくて当然。だけどね、そこからドミノ倒しみたいにパタパタパタといろんなものが倒れ始めて、はじめの小さな一つを倒したあなたに自覚がないのは当然だろうけど、あなたが元凶なの。
そんな俺が
あんたがミオンを泣かさなかったら私は起きなくて済んだのにね。これで十分？メイドの土産は。
A mistake that I made on that day was what messed everything up.
そんな嘘だろ。
自覚がないのは当然。でも紛れもなく元凶なのはケイちゃん。あの時あんたがさりげなく人形を私にあげていたら多分こんなことにはならなかったと思う。
I wanted to say like I just remembered something as I recalled that day. Rena had told me about that and I thought I had to apologize. I didn't apologize to Mion though. It had been Shion. In other words, oh god. I hadn't said a single word of apology to Mion. Today I came to this house saying I had something to apologize for, but I never said a word of apology about this. Come to think of it, when I apologized for going into the ritual storehouse, Mion looked a little bit lonely, like she was disappointed. Why didn't I realize that until just now? Rena told me at the time, and now she herself know the demon was selling me. Is the only way for a dense idiot like me to be cured is to die together or die altogether? I could no longer hold back the hot tears from pouring out of me. I simply just cried and reflected indifferently on the taste of my tears, on the taste of regret.
じゃあそろそろいい？この拷問はね、とてもシンプル。左手の小指の先端の節に釘を打つ。順に親指まで打ったらまた小指に戻って、今度は真ん中の節に釘を打つ。この調子で15本の釘で左手を打ちつける。それが終わったら次は右手。
Okay.
それが終わったら次は指先ってたくさんの神経が集まってるから、ケイちゃんが想像するよりもはるかに痛いよ。
Do it then, you're giving me blue balls, come on now.
両手30本を打ち終える前に失神しちゃう人もいるそうだから。
Mion pressed the tip of a nail to my left pinky finger. My wrists, arms, and all joints of my fingers were strapped in, so it tightly hurt, and I couldn't even twitch.
他の人を拷問するときには何のためらいもなかったけど、なぜかあんたにはためらいがあるよ。
それでミオンの鬼が収まるなら。
If it will sate the demon, then do to me what you will.
あんた、本気で言ってるの？
俺が傷つけたミオンの痛みに比べれば、こんなの大したことないんだろ。気の済むようにするといい。その代わり、2つ約束しろ。
Mion was silent. She did, however, wait for me to speak.
俺を気が済むまで痛めつけたら、シオンは許してやれ。細工殿に忍び込んだ罪には、それで十分見合う仕打ちをしたはずだ。
あんた、この後に及んで自分よりシオンの心配ができるわけ？
もう一つは、気が済んだらもうお前は消えろ。その体をミオンに返してやってくれ。それだけだ。
あんたって人には命乞いをするとかそういう考えは思い浮かばないの？
約束2つじゃなくて3つにしていいか？
Okay, 3 things.
3つ目は俺を殺すなにしてくれ。
There's gonna be leave me alive, leave Shion alive.
最初に2つって言ったでしょ。だからもうダメ。
そいつは残念。
In such a normal situation, Mion and I laugh quietly together as if sharing in a stupid joke.
多分私は約束を守らないよ。鬼だから。
その時は仕方がないさ。
I recalled tightening my hand into fists when enduring the pain at the dentist's office. Right now, though, they were open all the way to my fingertips, so I couldn't even grip them. So instead, I tightened my toes. Okay, do it. I prepared myself already, so do it. You waiting like this hammer the nails is scarier. It's going to diminish my readiness after all. Mion put down the hammer and gently stroked my cheek. Oh my god.
ケイちゃん、今の3つ目の願いだけは聞いてもいいよ。
My third wish, to save me. She'll agree to it?
1つ目の願い、シオンを救うこと。これはもう無理。シオンは鬼が殺してしまう。それはもう決められたことだから止められない。だから諦めて。
Her delicate fingers slid from my cheek to my chin.
そして2つ目の願い、この体をミオンに返すこと。これももう無理。今日を境にミオンが戻ってくることはもうない。今日以降、もし私の姿があったとしても、それは姿だけ。私の姿をした鬼だから。
そんなことはない。ミオンはミオンだ。もう戻ってこないなんて悲しいことを言うな。
聞こえる？あの音。
Mion gently closed her eyes and listened. I definitely heard it as well. What did you hear? Slam. It was a dull noise that repeated fixed intervals. A low noise accompanied by vibrations. A lot of people were ramming the iron doors to this underground ritual storehouse. Oh.
帰りが遅いから、レナが大石を呼んだんでしょ。
Yeah, Rena. Rena, help!
あのぼやーっとした感じの子が、こんなに頭が回るのだけは計算外だったな。
それについては同感だよ。
Mion grinned like she's been outwitted and then took something that looks like an electric razor out of her pocket. When she pressed the switch, pale blue sparks flew out with a snapping noise.
見たことないでしょ。
Wait, what? I don't understand. What she took? Oh, razor, okay.
本物のスタンガンだよ。
Oh, a stun gun, okay. Oh my god.
違法品なんで、かなり出力が上げられるようになってるけどね。
さっき俺に食らわせたのはそれか。子供のおもちゃには向かねえぞ。
そうだね。
She seemed to want to use a stun gun on me. Unable to move, I felt her press the cool lump of metal to my neck. Slam. I heard a roar as they broken down the first large door. The halls were a bit complex, but aside from the door to this very torture chamber, there was nothing in their way.
殺さないけど、しばらくケイちゃんにはお休みしててもらうね。すぐに大石が来てくれるから。ちょっとの我慢。
Feeling the same shock as before, gritting my teeth wasn't going to help much, but I clenched them tightly anyway. However, just as she did when she was about to hammer the nails in, she hesitated a little. I cracked open my tightly closed eyelids.
ごめんね。ミオンを怪我して。
I'm sorry for disgracing Mion.
ここに入る前に約束した。何があっても俺の中のミオンは変わらない。
でも忘れて。今日以降、もしも私を見かけても近寄らないでね。それは私の屍に取り付いた鬼なんだから。
What are you talking about? Just as I tried to say that, a much stronger light than before shined, and like a television being switched off, my consciousness went black. Huh. 1983 now. A string of disappearances occurred in Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone City Prefecture. The suspect is Mion Sonozaki. Dude, oh my god. She's suspected to have kidnapped 5 Hinamizawa residents between June 19 and June 21. Oh, Oreo, she's dead as well. The grandma, Shion, Kimiyoshi, Rika, Satoko imprisoned them and killed them. Preliminary investigations in the incident were delayed at the time due to insufficient evidence, but it was resolved coincidentally and shockingly. On the morning of the 23rd, a vehicle patrolling the Sonozaki property heard screams from inside and rushed in as emergency measure. They secured the suspect's missing younger sister, Shion Sonozaki, and her 2 missing classmates, Keiichi and Rena. The suspect fled the scene. Deep in the you're saying Mion is missing, okay? You're saying Mion is missing? Deep in the detached basement on the Sonozaki property, which is believed to have been used to kill those disappeared, we discovered hair, flakes of skin, blood of the other 4 missing persons, Oreo, Kimiyoshi, Rika, and Satoko. We concluded that the missing persons were tortured in the torture chamber. However, the remains have still not been found. On one of her imprisoned classmates' advice, we continued searching the detached basement of the Sonozaki property, which was where they were imprisoned, believing that they were there. However, we still have not located them or the suspect's escape route. In addition, investigations are continuing as to her participation in the serial freak incidents of recent years, thinking it would give some clue. But no evidence that Mion Sonozaki was involved, either directly or indirectly, has been found. And there are still many unclear points as to the motive behind the incident, and as those of the Sonozaki family and the residents of Hinamizawa have been extremely uncooperative in assisting us, we expect to require a long time to clarify them. The opinion of a local officer knowledgeable about the region is that this may have been a lynching, an internal form of punishing sacrilegious acts carried out against the beliefs of Hinamizawa village. It is clear that these incidents are particularly rooted in this region, and Prefectural Police Department has ordered a cautious investigation. We anticipated gaining valuable clues from the missing person believed to have been imprisoned for the longest time, Shion Sonozaki, the suspect's younger sister. But her mind was stricken by the grave after effects of the incident, and she has not been in a state of mind to properly answer any questions about what she knows. So the psychiatrist concluded that she is in a temporary state of shock, but it doesn't seem hopeful that she will recover today either. Only a few days passed since that time. After that, I was rescued by Uishi-san and his subordinates whom Rena had called in. Aside from my entirely blank state of mind, I had no external injuries. The most I had was a small burn mark from where the stun gun hit me. As I was having a checkup in the hospital, Uishi-san asked me all sorts of things, but I don't really remember what he asked or how I answered him. From what I heard, surprisingly Mion still hadn't been captured yet. There were apparently a great many hallways and smaller rooms extending out from the depths of the prison. It wouldn't be strange if she had fled to one of those and hidden herself. The one fortunate aspect amidst all the misfortune was that Shion had been safely secured by the police. Okay. When I last saw Mion, she seemed like she was going to take me with her and kill me. She probably didn't have enough time to do or two, though, since Oishi-san came running in faster than she predicted. That was the only fortunate thing to have happened. Of course, they rescued Shion despite having no external wounds and now had a big, deep wound in her heart. She was in a severe state of confusion when they rescued her, and apparently she bit the police officers trying to resist. From what he heard, she was seeing Mion in everyone she saw. Hated not only the hospital but even her own home, and had shut herself up somewhere in Shishibone, hiding her location. Additionally, in fear that Mion would come for her, she was moving from place to place every day, and even her parents weren't sure where she actually was. What happened? Okay. Wherever she was living, even now, Shion was spending her days in fear of Mion's shadow. Yet the police investigating the Sonozaki's underground storehouse at this moment, since they couldn't find the remains of the other sacrifices. Hadn't Mion thrown the corpses into a well? I had a feeling I'd said that to him. That meant a hidden tunnel vertical like a well was something in those underground passages. The secret underground without any maps or architectural drawings, which had swallowed up the remains of Rika-chan and Satoko and everyone else, was still unwilling to speak the truth. I was brought back to the basement again for an on-the-side inspection or something. But I didn't remember being of any help. I never wanted to go back there again. I mean, who wants to go back to somewhere you nearly died? For days afterwards, the Sonozakis living in Okinomiya, in other words, Mion and Shion's parents, the big name Yakuza, would come to our house to apologize, bringing many of their followers with them. However much my parents refused it, they piled up 100,000 yen bills, calling it consolation money every day. Oh my god. The amount of money grew each day, and after it had passed 2 million yen, they were given then an envelope containing a letter. I don't know what was written in the letter. My parents talked about it themselves for 2 whole nights and decided to move away. How much is 1 million yen in dollars, for example? Maybe like $6,000, something like that.
引っ越しちゃうんだね。いつ？
来月の終わり。
You could have come with me, Rena. You could have saved. You could have helped Keiichi much faster, I mean.
ひなみ沢には結局、半年も居つかなかったことになるな。
寂しくなるね。
Why he's leaving? What? Oh yeah.
私一人しか残らない。
I thought she was saying you're moving. I mean, you're moving, you're walking. He's leaving. I'll be lonely. I'm the only one left. Oh no, all of her friends are gone. Rena smiled sadly. If I had just said yeah, I thought it would make her even more lonely, so I changed the subject.
こう考えることがあるんだ。
And that's how I broached it. Mion hadn't actually fled, but had been demoned away in the truest sense of the term. Where she went after she disappeared, that we didn't know. What was there? Where she had disappeared to? I hope there was a hobby shop dealing in imports, the kind Mion liked. In that place, she would definitely be free from the burdensome fetters of her family, and lived not as Mion Sonozaki, but as just Mion and enjoy herself. Maybe she had already met up with Satoko and Rika-chan. They must also have been waiting for the day Rena and I would join them, spending all their time doing club activities, as lively as they always were. When I told Rena that, she smiled and nodded to me. And the incidents the Sonozaki family had been trying so hard to hide, too, were exposed to the magazines from the single tiny scene. I don't want to say any theories right now or my thoughts, we'll just say it later. Because here, there's still a lot of things happening. The serial incidents of recent years were all pulled up like a long vine in the ground, one by one, and for many days, news of it was brought up on talk and variety shows. The shows, which were comedic and silly, never once tried to touch upon the grim, heavy history that Mion had been hearing. It made me mad to see them bringing this stuff up in jest, but there was nothing I could do about it now. How big an impression would this short few weeks I spent in Hinamizawa have on my life? During these few weeks, I met my best friends and had the best experiences of my life. I would probably never forget it for as long as I lived. As for the distorted image of Mion that the media created, after the masses got tired of treating her like a plaything, they would ball her up and throw her in the trash, and then she would fade from their memories. As one of the few people who knew the real Mion, I must always make sure I remember her. Beyond any doubt, that will surely become my offering to her. The sky reached so far up and towering cumulonimbus. What is that word, man? Clouds floated through it. The real summer was just before our eyes. Even now, whenever 10 p.m. came around, I would expect a phone call from Shion or Mion rather. Now that everything was over, of course, she would never call me. But it was precisely because she wouldn't call me that I was so scared of who would call me this time. Plus, Mion still hadn't been caught. I couldn't say for sure that everything was completely over. On the other side of that fear, though, were my prayers that Mion was safe. When I thought like that, I was able to sleep even with such terrifying thoughts. The lights were off. Before her attacking when the lights were off was something that scared me. However, the feeling changed to regret within 2 days. The moonlighting filtering through the gap in the curtain shone into the desk and illuminated a doll. That's right. The doll. That's that I should have given to Mion that day. She said it was an import from England or something and was all the rage, didn't she? From what Shion said, the most popular among them were the ones wearing the fluffy dress. After being released from the incident, the first place I went to was a toy store. Everything was apparently sold out besides the things on the storefront displays. I was refused once when they said they wouldn't sell display products, but when they realized I was a survivor, from that incident, they immediately consented. Of course, even if I bought it, I might never have the chance to give it to her again. Even knowing that, I waited for the opportunity to give it to her. I waited like this for the opportunity with it on the desk so I could give it to her at any time. Plonk. There was a weird noise. It was a noise I wasn't used to hearing. It was too big to be raindrops, and it was completely different from the sound lost bugs make when they ram into fluorescent lights. I figured I must have misheard and nestled back into my futon. The noise happened again. I wasn't hearing things. I definitely heard it. Where was it coming from? I got up and turned on the light. If there was a second, there would be a third. From where though? I listened carefully. Plonk again. The window. Some sort of pebbles were colliding with my window. Oh, it's gonna be the demon. When I realized they weren't being blown there by the wind, but rather being thrown by a person, I gave a start. I looked at the clock, 2 a.m. Who would it be at a time like this? I quietly peeked out of the front through the gap in the curtains. In the light at the gate, despite it being so late, I saw someone. They picked up a piece of gravel and threw it at this window. It hit the window and made a plonking noise. Who was it? I caught my breath in surprise. If my eyes weren't deceiving me, that person was Mion. I drew open the window and looked at the figure again. My eyes certainly weren't deceiving me. It was Mion. It was Mion. She was alive. Could Keiichi be hallucinating this? Mion pressed her index finger to her lips and made a shh motion so I wouldn't shout. If she hadn't, well, I was nearly about to cry out. Mion was in a very delicate position right now. Even if it was the middle of the night, I couldn't call out her name. I waved to her, gesturing that I'd be right over, flung on my coat atop my pajamas and flew out the door. I quickly hit the brakes just before going down the stairs. Although my happiness was sprouting within me, I had a sad feeling that this would be our final parting. So I went back to my room again and grabbed the doll. If there was a God, I don't think I've ever have thanked him as much as today. Even if it would be the last time we ever saw each other, I was so grateful for this one chance to give it to her. I slipped into my sandals, unlocked the door, unhooked the chain, and leaped out of the house. You never learn, Keiichi.
ミオン。
お久しぶり。どう？元気にしてた？
It was like how we used to meet every morning. Mion waved to me and responded like she always did. It was undoubtedly Mion. It was a real Mion.
お前、こんなところをうろついてて大丈夫なのか？
本当はいけないよ。
She certainly wasn't acting like she knew the police were following her. It was almost like she was a patient who had gotten tired of staying in the hospital and had snuck out. Her speech was relaxed enough to make me think that and couldn't help but be surprised. The relaxation I thought was more like Mion and I was happy for it.
それよりどうしたんだよ。こんな時間に。
最後にお話ししたかったから。
That was when I noticed them. On Mion's forehead were big droplets of sweat. Her expression too, which I hadn't thought to be a satisfied smile, was, upon closer inspection, trembling slightly, and I realized that she was forcing it.
私ね。もうここにはいられない。
A pained note was beginning to enter her words as well. As if just smiling was a feat for her.
大丈夫か？どこか具合でも。
今日まで頑張ってきたけど自分でもわかるの。もうダメ。もう限界。
She's gonna laugh as well. She's gonna laugh again.
私のお迎えはもうすぐ後ろまで来てる。
Mion's smile crumbled and started to stiffen. Did she push herself this much to come all this way for me? Her laughter cut off and changed into rough breathing. I reached out to rub her back, but she knocked me away.
大丈夫かよ。もう無理するな。そうだ。俺ミオンに。
To give you Mion, this doll. I had wanted to do this one last thing because I knew how little time you had left. But this last thing, it... What was that? You heard that, right? Wait, did he get stabbed? Yeah, I heard water there. Was it blood? He did get stabbed. Actual idiot, man. Oh my god. The thing about Keiichi though is he's very in denial. Yeah. Like, come on now. Like, if you see Mion in your house after what she did to you, right? Nearly tortured you. What would you do? You would go to her? My stomach is burning. Mion took a meat cleaver like knife and stabbed me and pushed it in tight and tucked it in. Oh my, it twisted it. Mion? Hey. It hurts. I cowered on the ground. My stomach was so hot and was almost spewing fire. Mion watched it, then took a few steps back and cackled. The last words Mion left me with that day came back to me.
今日を境にミオンが戻ってくることはもうない。
From the day on, even my body is here. A body is all it will be. By then the demon will have taken it over. The demon. The demon. The demon.
Me. Oh.
Or eyes. But yeah, I think it's okay, let's later. This can't. I thought we had finally been able to meet. This can't. Mion. In a pool of my blood of my own design is the doll I bought for Mion, dyed in red. So red. Mion. The good fortune of having been allowed to meet Mion once more. And the misfortune of that meeting being torn apart before our eyes. Before my eyes. Should I be grateful or curse it? My emotions were neither of those, as my consciousness sunk deep into a black swamp. The doll I bought for Mion, the blood had ruined it. No matter how I scrubbed and scrubbed, it had needlessly been ruined. And the sad moon was so white, it looked frozen. Yeah, but I think is how do I put this? Keiichi's in denial, of course, because that is his friend. That is his best friend, right, Mion? And yeah, he's very, very in denial. And I'm sorry if I said dumb, but yeah, I think for Keiichi, like when he sees Mion, right? Like, oh yeah, she tried to torture me. He understands it, but I guess, how do I put this? He wants to give the doll. Yeah, he wants to give the doll. And I suppose earlier he just can't come to terms with what was happening, right? He can't think straight, of course. And now he got stabbed. But yeah, let's see what happened. Okay, sorry. A violent incident occurred in Hinamizawa village, Shishibone City Prefecture. The victim was Keiichi Maibara, also a victim of the previous string of disappearances. At around 2 a.m., he was stabbed in the stomach with a bladed object by the suspect of the last case, Mion Sonozaki, and was gravely wounded. He was discovered when his parents woke up and then was transported to the clinic. Okay, he's alive. Thank God. The criminal fled the scene. On the same day, at approximately the same time, a fall accident according to Kamishiki apartment complex in Shishibone City. Shion Sonozaki. Oh, she died? Late on the same night, neighbors overheard her having a big fight with someone and informed the manager. The manager used a master key to enter a room and discovered that the victim had fallen from her 8th floor balcony to her death. She was not fighting with anyone. She was probably just screaming on her own. The room had been torn apart and appeared to show traces of a fight. One neighbor has frequently visited the Sonozaki house for a long time and testified that he heard what sounded just like the two sisters having a fight, trading insults back and forth. We believe this was related to the injury case that occurred the same day in Hinamizawa village, perpetrated by said incident suspect, and did a thorough search of the room, but we could not find any traces that would imply that anyone but the victim was present. Oh, see? Could not find any traces that would imply that anyone but the victim was present. The victim fell straight down into the foliage of a parking strip. Her neck broke and she died immediately. Oh my god. Her clothing was disheveled and had markings that would imply a scuffle. We also believe, however, that it could have been an insanity-induced suicide, right? Based on the particular mental state of the victim after the incident. Yeah, she might just be seeing things, right? And just she was basically smacking herself. And she fell down. We're conducting a thorough examination on both fronts, suicide and homicide. Damn, man, I don't know. I keep saying some things earlier, but it's so hard. It's very confusing. Yes. Like if you put yourself on Keiichi's situation, you'd probably be doing this as well, right? Like it's easy to say. I mean, it's like easy to say. For example, if you're watching a horror movie, right? You're gonna say like, this stupid guy, he could have done this, he could have done that, right? But if you are there, for example, of course, it's gonna be much harder because you're pressured. You don't know what to do. But when you're just watching it, you're like, oh yeah, he could have just done this. He could have called the cops. He could have called Oishi-san when he saw Shion, right? Or saw Mion. I'm still thinking that is Shion, man. Seriously though. Okay. Oishi is here. Collect. The door opened and as I expected, Oishi-san came in.
どうもどうも前原さん。ご無沙汰しておりますね。その後、お加減はいかがですか？
医者が言うには術後の回復は順調だそうですが、あんたの顔を見たらまた傷が悪くなりそうです。
こりゃ手厳しい。
As Oishi-san gave a laugh that smelled of sweat, he handed Mom a bag of assorted candies he must have purchased from the souvenir corner on the first floor of the hospital.
すみません、お母さん。ほんのしばらく圭一君とお話しする時間をいただいてもよろしいですか？
However, I insisted.
母さん、悪いけど、ほんのちょっとだけ。5分でいいから。
Though grudgingly, Mom left the room. When she closed the door, Oishi-san grinned widely and looked around the room.
個室なんていい身分ですね。うちのばあさまなんかいっつも相部屋ですよ。そりゃもう賑やかなことで。ああいうところじゃ病気の重さが一つのステータスになるらしいんですよ。より重病な患者ほど偉いというか、威張っているというか。
Wait, let's analyze this. Maoli always gets a shared room, you know. Seems like you are a higher rank if you have a worse disease in places like that. The sicker you are, the prouder you are, or maybe the more arrogant. Ooh.
大石さん、5分ですよ。できれば これが本当に最後の5分にしてほしいものです。俺はもうひなみ沢とは関係ないし、ここももうひなみ沢じゃない。
沖宮には総合病院はありませんからね。椅子よろしいですかな。ゆっくらしゅっと。
This was a large university hospital in Shishibone City. It was splendidly urban, entirely different from the likes of Hinamizawa and Okonomiya. It was hard to believe Hinamizawa was part of the same city.
転院はいつ頃になりそうですか。
さあ、俺的にはいつでも OK なんですけどね。
Our moving plans were delayed a little because of my serious injury. My parents had already left the house in Hinamizawa though, and were living in our new one. They planned to have me transfer hospitals to be closer to the new house once I'd recovered enough to be taken there.
転院先にまで来ないでくださいよ。本当に具合が悪くなりますからね。
いや、すっかり嫌われちゃいました。仕事柄とはいえ心苦しいですよ。なので今日はこれまでの罪滅ぼしに素敵なお土産をいろいろお持ちしましたので。
別にクッキーの詰め合わせなんか持ってこなくても。
それがね、実は中身はクッキーじゃないんですよ。ほら。
Oishi-san pulls a can of cookies and I'm stretching my scar.
前原さんの好みがわからなかったのでいろいろと持ってきましたよ。ほら、よりどりみどり、野原は黄緑ってなもんです。さあさ、好きなだけ持って行っちゃってください。
こんな本なんか持ってこないでください。持って帰って持って帰って。いってててててて。
健全な若者がこんなところにずーっと閉じ込められてたらさぞやご入り用だと思ったんですけどね。こんなところにいると看護師フェチにしかなりませんよ。世の中には看護師さん以外にも素晴らしいものがいっぱいあるんですからね。今から専門を決めないで幅広くオールラウンドに行かなくっちゃ。
I gave Oishi-san's vulgar laughter a pained grin. Somehow or other I understood. The fact that Oishi-san was bringing it up like this, it meant that he must have had something important to talk about.
シオンさんの件は本当にお気の毒でした。
The night I was stabbed by Mion. Shion fell from her balcony and died. They said police were investigating with all possibilities accident, suicide, and homicide, but it could only have been Mion's doing. Okay. Mion found out where Shion was hiding and pushed her down to her death. Nothing else was conceivable.
事故のわけない。ミオンです。絶対に。
鑑識の連中は自殺だとしか思えないなんて言ってるんですが、シオンさんを突き落とし、さらにあなたを刺した。一晩のうちにね。
ミオンはまだ見つからないんですか？
そうそう。それを今日はお伝えしたくて来たんですよ。はい。実は見つかったんです。
We actually did find her.
て。
Learning that felt rather strange to me. I was partly relieved that the incident was really over, and I was partly sorry that my best friend had been finally caught. I felt many other things too. My heart was a maze of emotions.
それだけじゃない。
Okay, okay.
園崎家の例の地下、隠し井戸も見つかったんですよ。
Okay, so they found a well.
前原さんがおっしゃられてた通り、失踪者全員の遺体をその底で発見しました。
そうですか。
That sliver of hope, that possibility I'd believe in that Rika-chan and Sataka were alive, just from the fact the remains hadn't been found, is gone.
あの地下に実に巧妙に隠されてましてね。いやいや、まさに死角中の死角でした。井戸状に掘られた垂直トンネルでして、はしごが設けてあって、下へずーっと行ったところに、今度は横へ抜けるトンネルが作られていました。
Damn, so it was really, really deep.
そこを数百メートルも張って進むと、なんと山中の古井戸に抜けられましたね。
過去の園崎家の当主が作らせた秘密の逃げ道だったんでしょうね。
でしょうな。明治以降に作ったものでしょうが、いやいや、よくもあんなものを作ったもんです。
みんなの遺体はその底に？
はい。逃げ道の通路よりもさらに下に、コールタール状の泥水が溜まってまして、
Coal tar?
そこに無造作に投げ込まれていました。相当の高さから落としたわけですから、遺体はどっぷりと埋まってしまってましてね。遺体の引き上げにはだいぶ苦労させられました。
全員見つかりましたか
That they at least wouldn't find Rika-chan or Satoko. That's what I wished for when I asked, but my shallow hope was crushed in the blink of an eye.
はい。全員。それどころか、死後10年以上経過したと思われる人骨も見つかりました。最低でも3人分はあると思われます。ひなみ沢の歴史の暗部というわけでしょうな。泥を全部吸い出したら、一体何人分の骨が出てくるやら。怖い話です。
That weight had been pushing down on Mion's shoulders the whole time. Mion.
今、鹿骨市内の過去数十年の失踪者を洗い直しているところです。諦められてた失踪事件も、これを機に全部解決するんじゃないか、なんて言われてますよ。
After a deep silence, he breathed a heavy sigh. Oishi-san went for a cigarette to pass the time, but he realized this was a non-smoking area, so he gave up and put them back in his shirt pocket.
そうそう。これは寄り道なんですが、古出里香さん、ご存知ですよね。
もちろん仲間ですから。
彼女、例えば糖尿病でインスリンの注射を常用していたとか、そんな話はありました？
Wait, what? The insulin? She has diabetes? I didn't know what he was talking about.
実は彼女のスカートのポッケからですね、注射器が見つかりまして、破損していたので薬物は特定できなかったのですが、
Okay.
少々不似合いだったので興味を持ちまして。本当にご存知ありません？
Oh my, what the hell is happening? I didn't know anything about Rika-chan carrying syringes around with her.
園崎家は本業の方、薬剤屋さんのことです。で、覚醒剤を扱ってるとの噂がありましてね。その可能性もあるかなんて思ってたのですが。
リカちゃんが覚醒剤の常用者だっていうのか？
いえいえ、 そうは申してませんよ。ただ、お醤油をもらいに行くついでに注射器を持っていくってのは、どう考えても変ですからね。
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. I have no idea what any of this means. My eyes are spinning. I feel sick.
大丈夫ですか？看護師さんを呼びましょうか？
No, no, no. Continue, continue.
大丈夫ですから、
Yeah, yeah. Go, go.
話の続きを。
まあ、注射器の話はそれだけです。それだけが個人的に気になったもので。リカさん、村のマスコットみたいなところがありましたからね。今、村は騒然としてるみたいですよ。盲信してた年寄り方と殺してしまった園崎家とで、実効支配していた御三家もほぼ全滅状態。こんなタイミングでまたダムの話が出てきたりしたら、今度こそ間違いなく敗損でしょうな。
もう俺、ひなみ沢とは関係ありませんから。
I actually was. I just said it because the thought about Himurizawa being abandoned was unpleasant, and I wanted to end the conversation quickly. There was a knock at the door. It opened slightly, and my mom asked if we were still talking.
ありゃ、無駄話が過ぎましたか。参ったな。
I looked at the clock. 5 minutes were long past. He told my mom that there was something he really wanted to ask, and if she could wait a little longer. Yeah, Mom, leave, Mom.
そう手短にね。
There wasn't anything getting around the fact that she was thinking about what a police officer could be talking to her son about.
日を改めた方が良さそうですね。
大石さん。ミオンは今、どうしてるんです？
I wanted to just hear that the answer and get rid of him.
それを話す前に、前原さんに一個だけ、本当に正直に答えてもらいたいことがあります。
何ですか？
本当に真面目に答えてくださいよ。
Look at Oishi's face.
これ、いい加減なこと言っちゃうと、場合によっては捜査か乱と見られて告発される場合もありますからね。
Oishi-san kept threatening me until the end. What the hell did he want?
前原さん、シオンさんを突き落とした犯人は誰だと思います？
ミオンしか考えられないじゃないですか。
But in a sense, right? The only one could do it is just Mion, right?
では、あなたを刺したの誰です？
何度も言わせないでください。ミオンですよ。園崎ミオン。
Oishi-san smiled bitterly, then dabbed at his forehead with a handkerchief to wipe his sweat. He should have expected the answer, and yet it looked as though he wasn't satisfied with it.
シオンを突き落として、俺を刺して。ミオンの犯行だって、さっき大石さんも認めたじゃないですか。
シオン殺しの犯人がミオンだという根拠は、隣人の男の証言によるものなんです。この隣人ってのは、実は暴力団組員、つまりシオンさんのボディーガードだったんですよ。
Okay, Shion's bodyguard?
このうちのリーダー格が古参で、園崎姉妹が幼いうちから親身になってた男なんだそうで。
The driver. Then man said this. The noise he heard from the next door was just like the sound of a fight between the sisters that he was used to hearing when they still lived together. And no, there was no doubt about it. He said he heard Mion and Shion insulting each other and heard them struggling. At first, though, he thought it was a hallucination she was having brought on by her dementia. Dementia now. You see, he thought that because that sort of ruckus had been occurring every night, However, that night had been longer than the rest, and he claimed that he went to her room to give her a sedative. The noise died down while he got the manager to give him the key. He decided to at least check up on her, and after she wasn't answering his calls, they took the plunge and locked the door. Then they saw the room was a mess. Since Shion had been pushed over the balcony, they decided to have been Mion, and that's how it had happened.
つまり壁越しに聞いたというだけなんです。しかもこのマンション、組の関係で住人がほとんどいないんです。
Okay, please, we should just say what you're gonna say.
ですからこの騒ぎを聞いてたのも彼らだけ。重ねて言えば園崎美音を目撃した者は誰一人いないんです。
見なくったって、そんなのミオンの犯行だってわかるじゃないですか。
まあまあ、だからつまりですね、あなただけがあの晩確かに園崎美音を目撃した唯一の人間ってことになるんです。もう一人の目撃者のシオンさんは生きておられませんからね。
大石さんが何を言いたいのかよくわからないんですけど。
At that point, Uishi-san paused. The fact that this was a no-smoking area completely slipped in his mind, and he took out a pack of cigarettes again. He lit one with his lighter, and exhaled a long stream of tobacco smoke.
あなた、本当に園崎美音に刺されたんですか？
はい、間違いなく。
The smoke Uishi-san breathed out floated away like a thundercloud swept away by the wind.
大石さん、ここ禁煙です。看護師さんに怒られますよ。
実は園崎美音も井戸の底から見つかったんですよ。
We found Mion Sonozaki at the bottom of the well too. I told you, man. I told you. It was Shion all along. It was her. See? Mion was the one inside the... What do you call this? Inside the prison cell. Yes. And the one torturing Keiichi there was Shion. She knocked him out, right? After she knocked him out, she went to Mion, killed her, threw her in the well, then swapped herself there. That's it, right? That's it. That is it. Yes.
転落死です。あの井戸の隠し通路から逃げ出そうとしてはしごを降りる途中に足を踏み外し。
She fell to her death. We believe that she was trying to escape to that hidden passage in the well. Hell no, hell no, 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 no.
そこまで転落し、首の骨を折って死亡したとみられます。
Wow, she fell and she broke her neck. No.
はい。シオンさんと同じにね。
No. Shion killed Mion. Threw her there. Remember she said also earlier, I disgraced Mion? Something like that?
首の骨を折って。
That last part there, Shion was probably just arguing with herself, right? Dude, remember when the phone call, right? It was Shion's voice, right? And then when we were seeing her, it's Mion's voice. So, yeah, she could have just made two voices. She was hallucinating or whatever. And then she fell on her own. She was fighting on her own.
あの日、前原さんを気絶させた後、園崎美音は隠し井戸から外へ逃れようとして、足を踏み外して死んだのです。まるで、そこに突き落とした他の犠牲者の死体に呼び寄せられるようにね。
それじゃあ、おかしいじゃないですか。
Because look at this, right? If Mion has a tattoo, right? So if the one they found on the bottom of the well is Mion, she has a tattoo, right? So she could easily just swap with the one in the prison cell, right? So if it was Shion, kill Mion, throw her there, and then put herself inside and just pretend to be Shion. Shion the, what do you call this? Shion the, what do you call it again? Forgot the word. Okay, let's
検視
continue
の
first.
結果、間違いなくあの日に死亡したものと確認されました。あなたとシオンさんを襲ってからあそこに戻ったんじゃない。あの日にすでに死んでいたんです。
My jaw was on the floor. There was absolutely no way that could be. Mion was the one who stabbed me. It had to have been her. Okay, so for this one, I think. Okay. Let's afterwards. Let's see. Afterwards.
じゃあ誰が俺とシオンを襲ったんですか？誰が？
あなたを襲った園崎ミオンなのに園崎ミオンじゃない何者かですよ。
My mind had become a complete mess, and I was starting to lose my ability to think straight.
高野美代さんの死覚えてますか？
Okay, how is Sakano involved here now? I told you she was involved in something.
高野さん？はい。確か遠くの山の中で焼け死んだって聞いたような。
あれは考察された後に焼かれたことが分かっています。
Okay, she was burned after being strangled to death.
検視したのは岐阜県警さんなんですけどね。これがちょっとおかしいんですよ。初期の検視結果では死後24時間経過って出ちゃったんです。
Okay.
辻褄が合わないってことで大慌てで当日死亡って改ざんしたらしいんですが。
Wait, what? She died a day earlier? No. At least 24 hours. She had been dead for at least 24 hours. Despite me being an absolute wreck over what was going on with Mion, he was telling me there was even more on top of that. I didn't understand the complex things Oishi-san was telling
こ
me.
の死後24時間って検視結果、うちの鑑識のじじいが言うにはですね、かなり信頼できるものらしいんです。つまりどういうことか。これは何度も聞いた質問になりますが、あなた綿流しの晩、高野美代さんに会ってますよね。
Yeah, she was definitely Takano there. That was Takano. We were talking to her there.
合ってます。
その前日、お祭りの準備の日にも会ってますよね。私もその時お会いしてますし。
ええ、合ってますよ。
死後24時間ってことは、お祭りの前日の晩にはもう死んでるってことになるんですよ。
そんなはず。
Oh my god.
お祭りの準備の時には生きていた。
They're trying to say that it's some supernatural stuff now. Would I believe it?
でも、あなたたちと一緒に西宮殿に忍び込んだ時、高野さんはもうお亡くなりになっていたのです。
The beginning of everything. The origin of all that happened. The beginning of everything. Our intrusion in the ritual storehouse, which I had come to regret countless times. The one who tempted me, Takano-san. When she invited us into the storehouse, she was already no longer of this world.
今回の事件、死人が歩き回りすぎなんですよ。
There is an explanation for this. We need an explanation. An incident caused by a dead person and ended by a dead person.
園崎美音の死亡時間を事件当日ではなく、あなたを刺した直後に改ざんせよとの圧力も来てるみたいです。この事件をとっとと終わらせようとする外圧でしょうね。ですので、 今の話はどうか他言無用に願いますよ。
He grabbed his jacket that was hanging on the chair, put out his cigarette with the bottom of his foot, and then started pretending to wave away the smoke floating around.
長居しました。あなたにとっての事件をせめて終わらせてあげようと思って来たつもりだったんですがね。かえって煙に巻いちゃったようで。
Absent-mindedly, he walked towards the door, looking at me, unable to speak out of the corner of his eye.
もしも今後話したいことができたらいつでもお電話ください。さっきのお土産の中に私の名刺が入ってますんで。その時はまた素敵なお土産を持ってお見舞いに来ますよ。
Oishi-san seemed to think I was still hiding something. That after all this, would be hiding something. I'm the one things are being hidden from. I'm the one who wants to know.
では、またいつかお会いしましょう。お大事に。
He left. Slam. I listened to the tap-tap-tap of Oishi-san walking down the hallway. I still couldn't return from my state of bewilderment. Oh my god, he wanted to end this incident as it applied to me. What was over? Nothing was over. The incident was still continuing. What? Oh my god. The hell is this? It is even real. I wasn't that surprised. This was an illusion I was seeing, seized with fear.
ケイちゃん。だから言ったでしょ。
Honestly, I think this one is he's just imagining this now. I heard a guttural voice calling from under the bed. I still recognize it as Mion's voice.
なんだ、ミオン。何を言ったって？
私、あの日に警告したよ。今日以降、私の姿を見たとしても、それは私の屍に取り付いた鬼なんだよって。
そうだな。言ってたよな。ごめん。ちょっと注意が足らなかったな。だから刺されちゃったんだな。
Possibly wounds sustained when she fell from the ladder. Many of her fingernails were broken and torn. Her arm slowly felt about on the top of the head, searching for mine.
あのさ、ミオン。俺今、こんな冗談を考えたんだ。聞いてくれるか？
The Mion under the bed didn't answer.
例えばさ、俺が今日、ここで死んじゃうんだよ。だけども、明日以降もここにいて、普通に生活してみせるんだよ。で、後で、それが大石のやつに分かって、またしても死亡日時が合わない。死んだはずの人間が生活していたって言って、泡を食って大騒ぎするんだよ。高野さんにミオン、そして俺で3人目。な？面白いだろ？笑えるだろ？
ケイちゃん。
笑えよ。それとも、あんまり面白くなかったか？
Mion's blood-stained hand groped around and found my wrist. Though her fingernails were torn, she gripped it hard as if scratching me.
加減しろよ。痛いって。
ケイちゃん。迎えに来たよ。
I tried to shake my wrist loose, but the strength she held it with was unbelievable and I couldn't. She was gripping one wrist and yet my whole body wouldn't move. I couldn't even twitch. My fingers were spread apart and I couldn't make a fist either. And the fact that I couldn't make a fist reminded me of the restraining table. I felt a crooked nail press against my left pinky fingertip. She's behind him, look. Mion's forehead was split open and with a face covered with blood, she smiled and got right up just behind me.
何も終わってない。何も終わってない。この事件は何も終わってなんかない。
Yes, this is far from over. We're still in chapter 2, by the way, Keiichi.
まだ続いてる。まだまだ続いてる。誰かこの事件を終わらせてください。この残酷で無残で気の毒で悲しい。この事件を終わらせてください。それだけが俺の望みです。
あの時一つ叶えてあげたでしょ。今度はダメ。
Mion firmly held a nail down on my fingertip. And with her other hand, she slowly swung a mallet up into the air and... boom. Over. I wonder what happened to him though. All cast review session unlocked. Yes. We did it, boys. Oh my god. What the hell was that? But yeah, in the last part there, I think he was hallucinating that for sure, right? But damn, this question arcs, man. I want to know the answer arcs now. I want to I want to skip, but yeah, we're not going to do that, of course. We're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're going to do that order, of course. I don't want to skip it. I want to see what happens already, but we will have to wait, right? We have 4 question arcs here. Dude, it's so long. Like each chapter is very long. I can't wait for the answer arcs. And when we do the next chapter, right? We're gonna get more questions yet again. But yeah, what was I saying earlier, by the way? No, about Shion arguing with arguing with herself, right? And then she fell down. So did they say a timeline, by the way? I didn't understand if there was a timeline. No, when Keiichi got stabbed, right, and Shion died. What was there a timeline there? Did they say that she died first and then you got stabbed later? I didn't think they said that, right? I didn't think they said any of that. So I guess my theory for that one is Shion went there to Keiichi. That one was most likely real, yeah, because he really got stabbed there, right? So he stabbed Keiichi. He went to Keiichi's house, I mean, and then left, and then went back, right? And she went back to her house, and she probably had an episode, right? Fighting with herself, and then she fell down her balcony, right? Something like that. I guess that's how it happened, at least for my theory. But yeah, I guess this game, chapter 2 is over, I mean. But this is not the last episode for chapter 2 in our playthrough or let's play. We still have the all cast review. I mean, all cast review. And I'll probably give my full thoughts there. Yeah, I don't want to give a lot of my thoughts here, as if I say it here, I'm gonna say it there. So let's just do it there, right? But this ending though, damn, a lot of stuff happened, really, right? We'll just talk about it there when we do in the all cast review. And I can't wait to see what the cast is gonna say about this chapter, right? What are they gonna talk about? we're probably gonna be seeing Shion and Mion there, both of them, right, in the all cast review. That's gonna be cool. So yes, so for now let's just end this episode. We're gonna end this episode. Crazy episode. It was a calm episode last time, and now it's very crazy. A lot of questions been thrown out there, right? It was insane. So next episode, we will do the all cast review for our last episode for this playthrough. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.